Well, man, it was just a couple of weeks ago that we were catching up with our next guest as he was getting ready for the NCAA tournament, and now he's getting ready for an entirely new adventure back on this side of the country as he has taken the job as the head coach at VCU. He is former UMBC coach Ryan Odom, and he is back with us on GCR. Coach, it's Glenn. Man, we can make this a thing, chatting every couple of weeks if you're all right with that. Appreciate you doing it.
You gave me some good luck, with this job, but maybe not so much with the first round game against Mizzou, though. I needed you there.
Yeah, I know, right? I man, actually, after that one, I could have understood you saying, well, we're not going to talk again for a little while. That's the way it's going to go. Coach, take me through it, right? Like something like this happens. I know you've always got to measure where you are. We had talked so much about the success you were having and doing the job you set out to do at Utah State. How difficult is it to say, okay, I've accomplished what I wanted to accomplish, but I know I could accomplish more, but there's this other thing that's out there, and maybe I could do that instead?
Yeah, I think, this situation obviously was way too hard to, pass on. Obviously, the leadership here with Dr. Rao and Ed McLaughlin, as our athletics director, and just in general, the support that is given to this program holistically. The fan support is incredible, from the students to the regular alums to just the city of Richmond, and then also, you talk about, the school in general. It's really grown, over the years, and it's become one with this community and really transitioned, in a big way. And then you talk about the tradition of excellence within the program. It's in a lot of ways very similar to the place that we were leaving, out at Utah State in terms of the interest level and the enthusiasm for the basketball program. And so we certainly were not having to give that up coming here. But when you get here and you see it, it's like, oh, okay. This is a high major job here. This is a job that, certainly has a tradition of excellence. And, even before Shaka and his staff and players obviously, really took it to another level. And even before that, there's some great players, great coaches, great, just teams in general. And for us to be a part of that, it's tremendous. And then you add on top of that, it's basically an opportunity to get back into our network, where we spent the greater part of my high school days, my college days. It's definitely a match for us.
And that was the part that jumped out to me as much, Coach. Like, I know, look, Utah State's an amazing place, but this is the side of the country and the part of the world where, you've spent so much of your life and you have so many connections. How much did that play in this factor that, maybe if this opportunity wasn't here, it might not be the time or it might not be the place for you?
Yeah, you don't know when these opportunities are going to present themselves. And obviously I'm thankful for the players and coaches that have worked for us, at Utah State and the different stops. I'm not here if it wasn't for my experience at UMBC and the players that played there, right? And so, coaches, lead the charge, right, and are a lot of times the face, but the players are the ones that get it done. And I've been very fortunate to have great players over the years, that I've been the head coach. And certainly it was a factor coming home, getting closer. I grew up in Charlottesville, right down the road when my father was an assistant there, and coached at Virginia Tech, coached at American, coached at UMBC, coached even south in Charlotte in Lenore-Rhine. And so I've always kind of surrounded Richmond and always found myself coming back this way. And then you add in, I went to college in Hampton-Sydney, which is 50 minutes from here. So I've got teammates and coaches, that coach me all around, that live in the city here. So, it just makes sense, for us at this particular time. And we couldn't be more proud to be the coach here at VCU.
He's Ryan Odom, of course, former UMBC coach, now at VCU. He's with us here on GCR. Coach, a couple things that jumped out at me. I saw that someone in the press conference already went ahead and took care of asking the question. Famously, your connections with Virginia, not only from the win, but as you pointed out, going back to your dad. growing up there. The idea of that being a game that could happen again, like that seems kind of. I hadn't even thought about it honestly when I saw you take the job, but when I saw someone bring it up, I was like, oh, that would really be great. Is it something you'd like to see happen in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I actually mentioned, in, at Utah State, back in the days, we always play, not we, but back the old coaches and players used to play BYU twice. They used to play Utah twice. They used to play Weber State twice. And, obviously the times have changed. And when you're in different conferences like we are with the University of Virginia and Virginia Tech and Old Dominion now, it makes it a little bit harder. You get used to those natural rivalries when you're in the same conference. And when that changes, it's harder to do. But it doesn't mean that, we certainly wouldn't be open to playing anybody in our state. They're all good games. And certainly Virginia and Virginia Tech would make sense for us going forward. It's good for the fans. It's good for the players. It's good for national rivalries. But, we'll see how it shakes out. Scheduling's a beast, every year, no matter where you're coaching. It's really hard to get games, hard to get people to come into your building, especially when you have a good team and a good program. And so we'll kind of see how it shakes out. But, obviously, we have a ton of respect, for Coach Bennett and his staff and the players and the history of success that they've had over there. And the same with Virginia Tech. I worked there for 7 years. And, it's certainly a good place as well.
I happen to know how much you celebrated them winning a national championship a couple years ago. I know that that was something.
No doubt.
Yep, you felt really good about. From a local standpoint, Coach, I know Ace is in the transfer portal, and we'll see how everything plays out.
Yeah.
But I do wonder, when he was coming up in Baltimore and you were here, did you have any connection with him at all? Was he somebody that was ever on your radar? Did you always kind of know he was probably going to end up a little bit above a UMBC when he was coming up in this part of the world?
Yeah, I think that was pretty evident. He's a dynamite player and a dynamite kid. And certainly we spent plenty of time over there at St. Francis, with Coach Miles and watching their teams and all the different players that he had over the years there and still has. And so, I've watched that kid since he was young, and he's just quite a player. He's, the cool thing about the way that he plays the game is he doesn't have to score 20 points for his team to win.
Mm-hmm.
He impacts the game in so many different ways.
Defends.
And, certainly on the defensive end, from a leadership and a toughness standpoint, and then his ability to pass and make his teammates better. He's just a really good player. And, he's very close with his previous staff, as he should be, and that's the way you want it to be. When you're coaching players and there's a connection there. And I don't know where he'll end up. Obviously, he's more than welcome to stay here at VCU. We'd love to coach him, but and all these guys. But, such is life in the transfer portal nowadays, where when there is turnover and there is change, a lot of times you'll have, some folks that will choose to go elsewhere and some that will choose to stay. And we've had both so far, here at VCU. But one thing's for sure, I'm going to be all about Ace and all about these other guys. If they're wanting to look at other places, we're certainly not going to hold them back. Of course, we want what's best for them, and I think it's good in general for student athletes, to be able to choose where they want to finish their careers. And obviously, we've got a great cell here. I'm standing in my office right now, looking down at this beautiful court. There's not a better practice facility, in the country than this one. And so we're not going to have a problem, recruiting, quality, student athletes, that can really win championships to come here.
I have no doubt that that's true. I know a lot of VCU fans got very excited because of a tweet he sent the other day that said "run it back" with some question marks, and I can only imagine how much of a boon that would be for your program at this point, if that were to play out that way. Coach,
no doubt.
Can you define it for me? Like you obviously were able to get kids to come to Utah State, but given your history, was it more difficult? Was it creating relationships and diving into that side of the world? Do you feel like, in a way, you're more suited because of everyone here, the Baltimore area, the D.C. area, down to those Carolinas, Virginia, that it's I don't know if easier is the right word, but I don't know, a more natural process for you to be able to get kids than maybe it would have been while you were out on the other side of the country?
I think, recruiting is recruiting. And, it's about getting to know people and relationships, and then treating people the right way, and, making sure that you maintain relationships over the course of your career. And it's tapping back into your contacts. And, I felt like our assistant coaches and our staff did a great job out in Utah. We were poised, to get it rolling there from a recruiting standpoint. Had we stayed, we had made some great inroads there, and we're confident in where it was headed, for the future. I mean, that school's a little bit different. There's a match, there's kids that grow up there, dying to be Aggies, and so you just kind of have to tap into that, pretty quickly. And we got close with a lot of the coaches there in the state, and the AAU coaches as well. And we've got to do that, and we've maintained relationships back here, even though we didn't, bring guys out there, right? It didn't really make sense, at the time. We still have a ton of relationships, not only in Richmond, but surrounding, Richmond, going north, where you are, going south, where I grew up in North Carolina, going west towards, Virginia Tech, where there's relationships there. I mean, there's been some great players that have come from Roanoke. Troy Daniels from right in Roanoke, right? Plays here at VCU, and was a dynamite player. There have been players from south, from my high school, Reynolds High School, David Hinton, who now works for Biden. He played here as well in the Final Four team. And so then you've got 757 guys, where, we recruited guys, at Virginia Tech, from the 757. So, I do think VCU is positioned perfectly right in the middle, to be able to go wherever you need to go to get players. And when they come on campus and they see it, they understand that this program is for real. Like the people that are running the program, and I'm not talking about myself, they want to win. And it's evidenced by, the investment, they put into this program and into our players.
Coach, last one before I let you go. You mentioned the difficulty of getting maybe some folks to come play at home. They've had kind of the same problem at UMBC ever since that game. Any chance that maybe if they made the phone call, something could work out, that there could be a trip from VCU up here, because it would be a particularly electric night. What it would mean to this. It would mean so much to this community to have you back in that building, Coach. Is there any chance we could make it happen?
Yeah, you never say never. Never say never.
All right.
We do have a good schedule next year, and some of those games are already set. We've got Memphis coming to town here, which will be a good matchup. Temple as well. We're playing down in Orlando in that ESPN tournament. So we've got some hefty non-conference games, but, we're excited about, getting going. First things first, we got to get acclimated here. We've got to, re-recruit our players here that are currently on the roster, and then begin to put the pieces together from a recruiting standpoint. But I like how you think there, Glenn. I appreciate that.
Coach, I'm just, I got to look out for those guys.
You're working for your school. You're working out for your school.
You understand. I am the consummate homer. It is the way that I work, and I know what it would mean for everybody involved and for this community, and I mean that. For this community to have you back here. And I know maybe it could work out in another way, a doubleheader at the new arena or something like that would be a really cool thing, but we would love to have you back this way. Coach, so happy for you and for your family. How's Connor doing?
Connor's good. Yeah, Connor's good. He came in town, for a couple of days here before he has to head back out to Utah to finish school. So he's here with us now, as is Owen, kind of looking at where he's going to go to school next in high school. So, they're excited to be back here in Virginia as well. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Coach, congratulations. So happy for you and your family. Really appreciate you taking the time, as always. And, heck, I don't know if there's a good reason for us to do this again in 3 weeks. Let's do it, all right?
Let's do it. All right, Glenn. Take care. Tell everybody hello.